Number two, I would like my time restored. And number three,
No, you have
not
time. You're
identified
out
a
of
single
order.
crime.
No.
Well, what is the crime that you want to impeach Joe Biden for and keep this nonsense going?
Well,
Why? What is the crime? Tell America right now. You can have the rest
You're
of my
about
time.
to find out.
What
very
is the
soon.
crime?
You're about to find out
Name
very
it.
soon. Chair
We
now
inhabit
recognizes
a
Mr.
propaganda
Biggs from
experiment.
Arizona. Chair recognizes Mr. Moskowitz.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, so welcome to Oversight After Dark. If you love James Comer at 11 o'clock in the morning, you're really going to love him at 8:30 p.m. So, members, the hearing was moved today. We don't have to ask the question. The hearing was moved today so that members could go to New York and attend the Trump hearing. But how's he doing? He's complained that he's chilly in the courtroom. Is it chilly? Is it chilly?
Will the gentleman yield?
No, I'll assume it's
He's
chilly.
doing very good.
Okay, good. So, it was mentioned by the ranking member about really what we're doing here. You don't have to listen to my words. I would like to do a spirited reading of the campaign email sent out by the chairman. And it's on lovely stationery. In fact, it says, from the desk of the oversight chairman. I'm not sure you can do that, but I'm not an ethics expert. It says, friend. President Biden is exerting executive privilege in a last-ditch attempt to stop the disastrous audio recording of his interview with special counsel from being released. And it's highlighted in yellow. Want to make sure people saw that. Just a few months ago, the White House bragged that Joe Biden had nothing to hide and would not exert executive privilege during special counsel Hur's investigation. They even said he had nothing to hide. That's in italics. Now Biden and his advisors are terrified that I, James Comer, will release the recordings, forcing the media and the Democrats to answer for the dismal decline of Biden's mental state. He even had attorney Merrick Garland write a letter saying that his interview falls within the scope of executive privilege. This could be the final blow with swing voters across the country. Okay. You and I know, hold on, we're not done, it gets better. You and I know he's not up for the job, but the mainstream's media refusal to report on it as only keeping him in the game. Stand with Comer. The Democrats, you sure about that? The Democrats are pulling out all the stops to stop the bleeding. That means coming after me with everything they had. If you're able, we hope you are, I'd be so grateful if you'd consider making a donation to my campaign. I sure need it to defend against the onslaught of attacks. Thank you for everything. James Comer, chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Without objection, I'd like to enter that into the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
All right, beautiful.
Dr. Fauci, did you ever delete an official record?
No.
Dr. Fauci, did you ever conduct official business via email?
To the best of my recollection and knowledge, I have never conducted official business via my private email.
Don't you think that if these experiments are made using American tax dollars, that any of those royalties, this nearly billions of dollars, should be going back to the American taxpayer, not in the pockets of the scientists? Do you believe that's a law that we should consider changing?
If you want to change the patent laws and the Bayh-Dole Act, then go ahead.
Okay.
But that's not for me to say.
I'm asking your opinion.
My question to you, sir, did you cite this article at the White House because the NIH director asked you to suppress the lab leak theory?
I did not do that in response to anybody's suggestion to suppress anything. It was in response to a question that someone asked at the podium. And I did not edit any paper as shown in my official testimony. So you said about 4 or 5 things, Congressman, that were just not true.
Dr. Fauci, I want to join my colleague from Florida in apologizing to you that some of our colleagues in the United States House of Representatives seem to want to drag your name through the mud. They're treating you, Dr. Fauci, like a convicted felon. Actually, you probably wish they were treating you like a convicted felon. They treat convicted felons with love and admiration. Some of them blindly worship convicted felons. Public health is a matter of urgent and comprehensive public concern. Under Donald Trump, when the COVID-19 pandemic began and spun out of control, we came close to becoming a failed state, which the political scientists define as a state that cannot deliver the basic goods of existence to its people. According to Dr. Deborah Birx, Donald Trump's own COVID-19 advisor, America unnecessarily lost hundreds of thousands of people because of the recklessness and indifference of Donald Trump and his administration. Now the people who brought you the political big lie, claiming absurdly that Trump won the 2020 election, which he lost by more than 7 million votes, now bring you the medical big lie, making the outlandish claim that Dr. Fauci was responsible for causing COVID-19. Using the select subcommittee as a platform for this disinformation, House Republicans now find themselves in the familiar position where their own investigation debunks their runaway political rhetoric. Just like the broader committee's impeachment drive proved only that there were no presidential crimes, much less high crimes and misdemeanors attributable to Joe Biden, the investigation of Dr. Fauci shows he is an honorable public servant who has devoted his entire career to the public health and the public interest, and he is not a comic book supervillain. He did not fund research to create the COVID-19 pandemic. He did not lie to Congress about gain-of-function research in Wuhan. And he did not organize a lab leak suppression campaign. Today, Dr. Fauci's testimony, along with the thousands of pages of documents and dozens of closed-door testimony provided to House Republicans as part of the COVID origins investigation, will dispel these hysterical claims and reveal that the people bowing down to a twice-impeached, convicted felon who told Americans to inject themselves with bleach now want you to believe not only a big political lie, but a big medical lie, too. I hope that this committee will be able to correct all of the propaganda and disinformation today, and we will be able to actually return to what the good ranking member has said, which is an authentic investigation of the origins of the pandemic. And I will yield back to the gentleman. First, Dr. Fauci, thank you for your testimony and your extraordinary service to the American people. Let me just start. Was there anything you wanted to clear up in that last exchange where you were interrupted?
No, I think I made it clear. I mean, they were talking about my knowing about a lack of compliance. That became clear, Congressman Raskin, well after the fact. It isn't as if they were not complying and I was not monitoring their non-compliance. I didn't know about it until it was a done deal.
Gotcha. You've been a scientist and a scientific administrator for 54 years. Is that right? More than a half century? And
correct.
You were director of the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases for more than 3 decades. Is that right?
38 plus years.
38 years. Okay. And I assume that you've never been accused of trying to start a disease before. Is that right?
That is correct.
You have devoted your life to fighting infectious diseases for the American people. Is that right?
That is correct.
I want to go back to this email that you cited in your opening, because I think it goes right to the heart of this campaign of character assassination against you. The claim was essentially that you tried to cover up the possibility of there having been a laboratory leak, which, of course, is perfectly possible. And if this committee were doing its job, we could actually be working to advance the investigation of that. But they would rather assert that you tried to cover up this possibility. Here's the email that you sent on February 1st at 12:38 a.m. To Christian Anderson, with a copy to Christian Anderson, but you sent it to Professor Jeremy Farrar. Jeremy, I just got off the phone with Christian Anderson, and he related to me his concern about the furin site mutation in the spike protein of the currently circulating 2019 nCoV. I told him that as soon as possible, he and Eddie Holmes should get a group of evolutionary biologists together to carefully examine the data to determine if his concerns are validated. He should do this very quickly. And if everyone agrees with this concern, they should report it to the appropriate authorities. I would imagine that in the USA, this would be the FBI. And in the UK, it would be MI5. It would be important to quickly get confirmation of the cause of his concern by experts in the field of coronaviruses and evolutionary biology. In the meantime, I will alert my U.S. government official colleagues of my conversation with you and Christian and determine what further investigation they recommend. Let us stay in touch. Best regards, Tony. Was this the email where you were putatively trying to cover up the possibility of a lab leak?
Yes, Congressman Raskin, and that's the reason why I mentioned in my opening statement that is it inconceivable that anyone could get out of that I was covering anything up.
Would you have any reason to cover up any new scientific evidence relating to the origins of the COVID-19 virus?
Absolutely not, and that's the reason why it was important to get people together to discuss this in a transparent way.
Have you spent your whole life trying to determine the causes of infectious diseases and then to stop them to protect the American people?
Yes, I have.
Well, Dr. Fauci, I want to join my colleague from Florida in apologizing to you that some of our colleagues in the United States House of Representatives seem to want to drag your name through the mud. They're treating you, Dr. Fauci, like a convicted felon. Is there anything else you would like to say to the American people about your service to America during the course of the COVID-19 pandemic?
My main job during the COVID pandemic was to play a role with my team at the Vaccine Research Center to develop a safe and effective vaccine. And we did that in an unprecedented short period of time, never seen before in the annals of vaccinology. As we all know, that vaccine and those vaccines have resulted in saving of hundreds of thousands of lives in the United States and millions of lives throughout the world.
Well, you have fought AIDS and HIV. You have fought COVID-19, and you are fearless in doing so. Do you have any reason to be afraid of scientific evidence or data or the truth?
Not at all.
Thank you. I will yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.
One last one for you. Marjorie Taylor Greene is right now, we believe, meeting with Speaker Johnson. She demands that the Speaker move forward on the impeachment of President Biden. And if he doesn't, if he doesn't get action in a week, she'll trigger a privileged resolution which would remove the Speaker. Are you on board with this?
Well, look, Marjorie's a member of the House Oversight Committee. She and I have a great working relationship. She's a fighter. She's very passionate. You know, the problem with removing the speaker is the votes aren't there. Now, whether or not people support Mike Johnson or approve of all the decisions Mike Johnson made is irrelevant. They don't want to go through that 3-week period again of trying to find someone to come up with 218 votes. So I know Marjorie's frustrated. I share her frustration, believe me, every day, because we want to hold people accountable. But at the end of the day, you have to get 218 votes. And that's been a difficult scenario for House Republicans. So, look, I think that Joe Biden has committed impeachable offenses. I've said that many times. I think his family are corrupt. I think Joe Biden was front and center in these schemes his family was involved in. I would love to hold him accountable. But at the end of the day, when you're in the House of Representatives, it's a matter of getting to 218 votes.
Right.
And right now, it doesn't appear those votes are there.
Right. You're not going to look good in November if you mess this up. Congressman James Comer, thank you very much for joining us, sir. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Stuart.
Sure. Here we go with the Tuesday trivia question. What is June's full moon called?
I mean, why continue to waste millions of dollars of the taxpayers' money if we're going to impeach because you believe you've shown he's committed a high crime and misdemeanor? What are you waiting on? Let's just do it. I mean, by the way, we got Chairman Jordan here also, the double chairman. Why aren't you guys calling for the vote in your committee? When is it going to happen? When can we tell the American people you're going to stop wasting their money and just call for the vote on impeachment?
Gentlemen, you?
Sure.
We don't do snap impeachments like you guys. We actually do the facts. We do oversight according to the Constitution.
You're never going to call for it. You're never going to call for it. I mean,
now you can predict. You can predict the future. How do you know?
You guys only have 6 more months probably in power, right, until the election. So are you going to do it in 2 months? Are you going to do it in 3 months? Like, tell the American people.
Does the Constitution put a time limit on oversight? I don't think I didn't read that in the Constitution.
If you believe you can't call for the impeachment now, then what you're admitting is you haven't yet proven that he's committed a high crime and misdemeanor. You haven't proven it yet. Otherwise, you would call for it, I assume.
We're doing our work.
Okay, so they haven't proven it. Right? They haven't proven he committed a high crime and misdemeanor. Otherwise, we would call for impeachment. So look, you know, the chairman knows me well. I mean, I'm just here to help him, right? And so I just think we should do it today. Let's just call for it. I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman. I want to help you out. You can second it, right? Like, make the motion to impeach President Biden. Go ahead. It's your turn. You second it. No, nothing. Okay, we got nothing. So I want to, with my last couple minutes, show the American people that they're never going to impeach Joe Biden. It's never going to happen because they don't have the evidence. Okay, this is a show. It's all fake. They just want to do these hearings. It's not leading to impeachment. They're lying to their base on Newsmax and Fox, leading these people to believe that they're going to eventually impeach the president. It's not going to happen at all, ever, period. They don't even have the votes, even if they had it in committee. They don't have the votes on the floor. They know that. They got members resigning rather than taking a vote on the fake, faux impeachment. Just ask Ken Buck, who said the speaker ain't going to get me to take an unconstitutional impeachment vote. I mean, boy. I mean, so, look, I mean, if these hearings were a success, right, if what we've been doing for the last 15 months had convinced the American people that Joe Biden committed a high crime and misdemeanor, you can be damn sure they would have called the vote by now, right? But they want it to go on. They either want it to go on because they don't have the evidence.
Are you asking me a question?
Oh, no, I'm just looking at you.
Oh, okay.
But if you want to talk to me, we can talk.
Well, no, I think you haven't read recent data that shows the American people are well aware of the Biden's corruption.
Perfect. So then ask the chairman why he hasn't called for impeachment, Tony. He's right here. Ask Comer. Hey, Comer, how come you haven't called for impeachment? I'll do it. Watch. Hi, I'm Tony. Hey, chairman, how come you haven't called for impeachment? When are we going to have the hearing? When is the vote going to happen? I mean, you believe it. He believes it. He says it every day on TV. I just don't know when we're going to have the vote. I mean, let's just go.
Are you asking me to hold the vote?
No, I just like looking at you. Yeah. We can save the taxpayers millions of dollars. So, I mean, look, I used all of my time to show that this vote is never going to happen because they have no evidence on Joe Biden. I yield back.
What happened last night?
Well, I mean, it was oversight after dark, oversight unplugged. We're a little bit better at 11 in the morning, but at 8 p.m., I guess we can't. All hell breaks loose. I mean, listen, why the hearing was moved. They moved the hearing so members could go to New York and snuggle with Donald Trump in the courtroom to keep him warm because he's very chilly in the courtroom. They're keeping it cold on purpose. And so they literally moved this hearing to hold Merrick Garland in contempt for what? They turned over the transcript, which is what they asked for. They turned over all the corresponding documents for what they asked for. Robert Hur, the special prosecutor, came here, testified. He said there was no interference from DOJ or Merrick Garland. And now they want an audio tape, which they know, by the way, is against DOJ policy. We're still waiting for the audio tape from Dick Cheney in the Valerie Plame case because the DOJ doesn't release audio tapes. Okay? And this is just a distraction from their failed impeachment of Joe Biden, which isn't going to happen. But look, Marjorie Taylor Greene, missed motion to vacate. How's that going, Marge, if you're watching? I mean, she's just here, obviously, to do this stuff. She's raised his money off of it. This is why gerrymandering is bad. If you want to know why gerrymandering is bad, just watch last night. She's the most unproductive member of Congress. We wouldn't let her name a post office. She has no friends here. And to go and attack Jasmine Crockett like that is totally out of order, was uncalled for. But she does it on purpose. We sit here, we hear our colleagues bring up certain things like, oh, the Biden family took money from a foreign entity, right? And it's just like, well, really? I mean, do they really not know that Jared Kushner took $2 billion from the Saudis? I mean, by the way, they go on Twitter and blame the Saudis for 9/11. But then Jared Kushner, who, by the way, was not a wealth expert before he worked in the White House, nor was he a Middle East expert before he worked there, gets $2 billion from the Saudis, and they don't have any questions. And I just think that the American people recognize that they have no credibility. It's why the stuff they've been selling in this committee for 9 months has not translated, which is why they got to start it all over again. You don't have any credibility when you only want to look at one side of the coin, right? We sit here, we hear our colleagues